I'm going to go down the line. If you guys want to just introduce yourself really quick, there's a bunch of people still joining, and we're waiting for one more panelist. But Philip, can you just introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do?
Sure. My name is Philip Fairley. I am the president and owner of Rainmaker Institute. We've been working only with attorneys. This is our 24th year since 1999. We worked with over 20,000 attorneys in that span. Located in Phoenix, but I'm a Chicago guy by heart. As you can see, the Cubs banner in the back. Still living off 2016, so don't say anything differently. But really what I'm passionate about, this is my fourth business, and I've been working with law firms for over 25 years. But really what I'm passionate about is the business side of law, helping attorneys really become business owners. And I think that passion comes from, I know what it takes to bootstrap a company from zero to success. And I'm just really passionate about helping law firm owners understand that, being an attorney is not your best use of your time when you're the owner. Being a business owner is much more valuable.
My name is Nancy O'Hare-Zika. I am the owner of Yellow Dog Creative and Gavel Marketing. Gavel Marketing is a marketing agency that focuses exclusively on the legal profession. We offer everything except SEO and pay-per-click. That's the only area that's a kind of an area we stay away from. We're really known for our storytelling branding style of videography. We also have media strategy, digital marketing, social media management, and graphic design here in-house to help our clients do their thing.
Hi, I'm Gyi Tsakalakis. I am a former lawyer. I'm still a lawyer, but not practicing lawyer. I founded AttorneySync, which is a digital marketing agency. We're kind of the inverse of Nancy. We primarily do search and we do website design and a bunch of other digital things, but not as much on the branding positioning side of the house. And grateful to be here and looking forward to sharing what I've learned over the last 15, 20 years.
Thanks, Gyi. Last but not least.
Hi, I'm Annette Choti. I am also an attorney like Gyi. I am in Kansas City. Go Chiefs. And I founded Quill, which is a digital marketing agency just for law firms. And we kind of do everything. We do branding, websites, SEO, content creation, social media, backlinks, and pay-per-click. So we kind of do all of it. And I think that's it.
So I'm just going to kick it off. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Answering Legal's 2023 Law Firm Summer Reboot Camp. I am Nick Werker. I'm the marketing director here at Answering Legal, and I will be hosting the majority of our conversations here at camp this week. For those who don't already know, this camp will be providing law firm leaders with expert advice on how to reinvent their practice for the second half of 2023 and beyond. Today's portion of camp will be focused on legal marketing related topics. For our first conversation, we'll be hearing straight from the heads of some of today's top legal marketing agencies, and we ask them to weigh in on recent industry trends. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask all of you, what does a well-balanced and successful marketing game plan look like in 2023?
I think a well-balanced campaign, a well-balanced marketing book has to include a variety. There is no more silver bullet. There are so many platforms, so many areas to touch people. I think you need to make sure that you are kind of in all of those if you can afford to do so, but also make sure that you're doing enough in each platform to make it valuable.
It's really good. I'll jump in here. I agree with Nancy. There's not a silver bullet, so there's not a checklist. About 6-7 years ago, I think probably all of us could have given you a checklist. What I see it as now is things have so radically changed, even since COVID, about how people consume and the experience that they want. So a lot of our change in philosophy has been back to what we were doing 18, 20 years ago, and that's a content strategy. Back then it was blogs. Now it's video, but it's also short content. But the key is taking that content. You get real excited about making those nice videos or that nice blog post or that educational piece that's tricky and informative. but it's all about where you're going to get your eyes on it. So it's all about content and then distribution. And when you take that content you have, you need to be repurposing it. For instance, like your videos should be a blog, and then you should SEO those blogs. They should be turned into shorts. They should be distributed on social as well as YouTube and newsletters and website. It's about creating that content that people are looking for, because we all know what that is, right? The content ideas are everywhere around us, but taking that content and then distributing it. And that's the key to a good, solid marketing plan. Plus looking at the data, because if you're not being predictable and consistent with your lead gen, you're not doing something right.
Yeah, I would just add on, I think those are both really good points. One of the things that we see a lot of firms miss is focusing on we'll call it the potential client experience, but it's intake, it's keeping your existing client base informed. It's because here's what happens. Like, people think lawyers like to think, oh, well, I'm doing my practice thing over here and I got my marketing thing over here, but they're connected. Because guess what? When people go and look you up online, they expect to see happy clients singing your praises. We talk about this all the time in the local SEO context, but you can rank number one for your most desired keyword. If you don't have any reviews and your competitors all have hundreds of reviews, it doesn't matter where you rank. And so we like to really focus on starting with delivering that great experience all the way from the first time that they meet you and what the impact of that is throughout the marketing plan. I think the other thing, I think the other panelists alluded to this as well, but it's a diversified approach. Don't put all your eggs in a single basket. You should have a well-balanced plan of referrals from former clients, non-attorney referrals through all the relationships that you're building and the content that you're putting out there. And then, as you try to grow incrementally, the cost per acquisition is probably going to go up because, your referral sources, they're great when you've got referrals, but they're not consistent and reliable as maybe digital media might provide. And so then you start talking about advertising. But the key for me is focus on the experience that they're getting first. Because if you don't do that, you can spend all the money on pay-per-click, you can spend all the money on SEO, you can spend all the money on TV ads. But if people go and look you up online and people are talking about what a lousy lawyer you are or how you don't return their phone calls or you don't care about them, you're not going to convert them into clients.
Yeah.
Can I say amen?
Yeah, no kidding.
Is that all right to say that? Okay.
Well, and I think
amen
too, just kind of piggybacking on that, there's some areas of law that are going to be more conducive to client testimonials. If you're a criminal defense attorney, you may not have a plethora of clients that want to sit down and do a video testimonial. So you also have to be more creative if you are in a line, if you practice an area of law that isn't conducive to actual review seeking. So being open to different avenues is also really important, I think.
And that actually, Nancy, thank you, because that dovetails exactly into what I was going to say, which is that, well, my real answer was going to be it depends, right? Because that's what every lawyer says about everything. But it does depend. It does depend because, what works on Instagram for one type of practice area is not going to work for another, right? Speaking exactly to what Nancy was saying, bankruptcy attorneys are also not going to get a lot of reviews online or referrals. So it's not just that you have to be doing all the things, right? You have to be doing content and SEO, and you have to, be maybe doing pay-per-click. But pay-per-click works for certain law practices better than others. At least that's what we found. So you have to really know know thyself, right? Know who you are, know what your practice area is, and then know your ideal clients, where they're hanging out, and then also how those specific clients want to consume information and find and make decisions regarding who they want to hire.
When I was in school, I don't remember what Super Bowl this was, but I think it's early 2000s Super Bowl. Mountain Dew had an ad called Puppy Monkey Baby. Does anybody remember this?
Yep.
You know what story I'm going to tell?
Yep. We're going.
Tell it.
This is okay. So Puppy Monkey Baby was, this is the Super Bowl, one of the weirdest things. In my opinion, it was the weirdest, it was 100%, it was the craziest thing, but it was actually an endearing commercial about a puppy monkey baby. And if you put those things together, you guys got to Google it. You got to Google puppy monkey baby. So, but what were you going to say, Nick, about the actual spot? I'm mind blown that people haven't seen puppy monkey baby.
So it was wildly successful because it was so bizarre and everybody had to go check out Puppy Monkey Baby. And Mountain Dew did not create a single URL, piece of content, anything to back it up. And they spent, I don't know how much of the Super Bowl ad cost. It's got to be at least at that time $1 million.
Yeah.
So they threw $1 million to create Puppy Monkey Baby and then did nothing to receive that traffic or monetize it at all. So I think of like Gyi saying, oh yeah, you can advertise on television, but it's like, did you create a specific landing page for the targeted audience that you that you went after?
Somebody needs to check right now if puppymonkeybaby.com is taken.
I'm sure it is now.
It was crazy because other companies capitalized on it. So they created a ton of content on Puppy Monkey Baby and just kind of like cashed in on that out there. So it's always like you can create content, but what are you doing with that content to make sure that you're really like, I don't want to say pushing people down the funnel, but giving people what they're looking for in the first place.
Making sure you're set up for it.
Yeah.
And I think too, the fact that now with the onslaught of digital marketing, and you guys all know this, right? So gone are the days where we just threw something up there blind. Now we can be so specific as to our consumer and exactly what eyeballs are seeing our content. We can be super, super specific, which means we can save so much more money and make sure our money is spent properly, feeding it to the right audience based on searches and browsing history. So it's borderline creepy. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, the fact is we can do that now,
Matthew asked a question in the chat. He asked, how important is it for law firms / attorneys to have a content creation space / recording studio at the office or home office?
Yeah, let me jump in on this, Nick, and I'd love other people's opinion, because one of the things we just did here the first time in the history of Rainmaker is we just completed the purchase of another company, and this is a California video creation company, just because it has driven 40% of our new revenue this year because there's such a need for this. And Matthew, that's a fantastic question, because I got to tell you, we've got an office that's set up, ready to go, the shoot room that we did our first 3 videos in, and then understood because of the eyes on it that that's not what people want. They want a background that's real. They want you in different spots. They want the reality. Like, honestly, the videos, because there's a couple competitors in the space. In fact, they had been to one of our Rainmaker retreats before. This was probably 10 years ago. And there's a big competitor in our space that started out with video. And they're pretty significant in size. We have a lot of clients that use them because we have an intake system and analytics tool that tracks all of these things for our clients. So we know the open rates. Those Law and Order type movie production videos are very beautiful. They really stoke the owner's ego. Boy, you can sell them just like you can sell them a front page to Attorney at Law magazine and the whole article to boot, right? We all know that, how that works. But that's not what people want. They want a DIY amateur with a little bit of editing. Now, I'm a big advocate of editing, but not over editing. So I would say find a place in your office that has a decent background. Do not do it in your law library, your conference room. Don't do it with a bunch of certificates behind you. Do not do it with a suit on. Do it real. People consume things that are real. Obviously, we're educating them or whatever the topic of the video is, but you do not need a specified place to shoot. And the equipment you need is your cell phone, a tripod, and a mic from Amazon for about $30.
Absolutely true. And, because we started as video production, and we are all about beautifully done, cinematic, those gorgeous about us videos, because that's what we do. But if COVID gave us anything, it gave us the opportunity to not have everything perfect. people are used to this now. We're used to Zooms. We're used to not perfect audio and not perfect video. But I'll tell you what, those freaking, iPhones are shooting better than half the cameras that people out there are using. So, we are also, same exact thing, Philip, get a car mount for your phone and have start a drive home chat and talk to your phone on the way home and put that up there. People love that. And especially with the launch, of GA4, where video is going to be so valuable. Everything doesn't have to be a production. Everything doesn't have to be timed perfectly to music. People will forgive bad lighting and not great audio because they do want just these how-to, super quick, super easy, under 2-minute, 3-minute things. So yeah, set it up, figure it out for sure.
I'll just interject this really quickly, which is that, at the end of the day, people do business with people, right? What we see is that the About Us, the About Me page is usually the first thing that's clicked on after you go from the homepage. And that's because people want to see who would be representing me, who would be helping me. And, website, social media, it allows you to form a bit of an emotional connection with your potential client sort of 24/7, right? And I feel like we are all a little exhausted emotionally from the airbrushing and from the sort of, very polished things that we're seeing. And at the end of the day, I think that when you show yourself as a real person, or even say things about you, you like dogs or you like running or whatever it is, people are able then to connect with you. And I think that was huge during COVID, right? Because all of us were so disconnected at that point. But it's something that is just part of humanity, right? That we just want to be connected, and we want to maybe choose a lawyer that we feel somehow connected to and would represent us. And you will do better. I will agree with everyone that's spoken so far that you'll do better if you're just sort of real.
Yeah. Yeah. And last year I spoke at a conference and I came up with the analogy of kind of like the bullseye, and you're talking about emotional connection, right? I think that a lot of attorneys, and Nick, you and I spoke about this too. I think a lot of attorneys think that everyone knows who they are and what they do. And they really don't. That's a very tiny, tiny part of the population that knows. No, the people in that center, that bullseye, right? These are your family, your friends. They're going to use you if you're the worst attorney in the planet because you're like their best friend, or they went to college, or you're your next door neighbor. You get one ring out of the bullseye. Now, these are the people that know what you do. These are your kids' friends, parents. This is neighbors, colleagues. You literally get one more ring out on the bullseye. People know you're an attorney, and that is all. They don't know what you do. They don't know what type of what. They don't even know what the hell that means. What is estate planning, or what is family law? Does family law mean if I'm suing my family? People don't know. And you're right, Annette, by making a video and putting that on there, it allows people to ask the questions that they maybe feel foolish about asking. And they can also learn who you are and make that connection without the commitment of actually coming into the office, Yeah.
A couple of things I would add. I think these are all really great points. Good news is that even to set up a high level production studio in your office is super cheap. I mean, you got an iPhone, get the Camo app. You get get a decent mic. I think sound does matter, so decent mic. But again, you're not talking about very much money.
Plug it in. But don't use a Bluetooth one.
Yeah, don't use Bluetooth. But the biggest issue tends to be the friction of actually creating the video itself. And so, some firms will say, look, if it helps you to have a designated space and you feel more comfortable doing that, great. But to the points that have already been said, don't make it hard for yourself. If it becomes a chore you're not going to do it. To set up the production equipment, and you feel like you got to get a support person to get everything right and all that stuff, then just pull out your phone, because the consistency of the regular publishing is a lot more important than the production quality of the video. And I think this was said earlier, and I kind of give you some other production stuff. Go check out the Descript app. It's we talked about this yesterday, but DESCRIPT. It's amazing, and you can know nothing about video editing, and it's got AI baked in, so it does overdubs. It'll remove stop words. You can create scenes and do B-roll footage and all this. You can add jiffies and all this stuff. Because again, that's the stuff that people care about. And the other thing that I'll say, in addition to your positioning and talking and demonstrating your expertise and talking about the things that matter, a lot of people, when they are consuming information online, unless they're actively shopping for a lawyer, they don't want to hear about your verdicts and about, all of the issues with family law and stuff. There's Ken Levinson in Chicago. He does this thing. They do a lot of work lunches. They go out in Chicago and eat lunch, and they film themselves eating lunch at all their favorite Chicago spots. And guess what? Everywhere he goes, American Association for Justice Conference, all these trial lawyer conferences, all these professional networking, the first thing out of everybody's mouth is, Ken, how do you stay so skinny eating all that food online? But think about the power of that.
Yep.
Because they're all thinking about him all the time because they're seeing him every day in their feed. And so then when they need a lawyer like him, and a lot of times too, and I think Nancy mentioned this, some of these people, they don't even know what Ken does, but they know he's a lawyer. And so they're like, oh yeah, that guy in Chicago who's always doing those food videos, they're calling him up. I mean, he's got reviews on Google that says, love the food videos. And so, to the point about like getting reviewed for other stuff. Anyway, remove the friction and be disciplined about regularly publishing. And this was said as well, but the most important thing of all this is be your authentic self. Do the stuff that you like to do, because people are going to gravitate that also like the food scene, or they like Chicago, or they, whatever it is you're into, they're going to subscribe to your content, because it's much more important that you're not getting people to be like, block or stop showing me this in my feed. That's the death knell on social. Versus people that are signing up to get more. The other thing he does, this is not video related, but he's got people that are he does book reviews, and they subscribe to an email list to get his book reviews, and they love it. We talk about industry standards of 20% open rates. He's got like 80-90% open rates and response rates to his emails, because guess what? People actually like it. Hey, thanks, I read that book, it was awesome. Oh, you know what, I meant to check that book out. Hey, see you next. That's the stuff people want to consume online. So all right, I'll stop my rant right there.
Yeah, people don't like being sold to, right? They like connecting to other people. And then when they need something, they remember you. So that's brilliant.
That's why amateur video works. The polished ones, everybody knows it's an ad. And that's, Gyi said something that I think too many people overlook. Sonia had some really good questions in here, and some people, Matthew, on the video. One of the things is being disciplined. I just call it being consistent. So if you're doing educational videos and you're doing for your website, yeah, you can get a handful of those and you can be done. If you want to use this as a content creator to then distribute to every channel that you have, and then find more channels to distribute it to, you have to be doing this once or twice a week. And it's so difficult. I have never seen a 7-inch piece of plastic bring a powerful attorney to their knees, crumbling and crying like a cell phone video camera would do. And I get it. When I started that journey a couple of years ago, I was the same. What do I say? What do I do? So one of the things that just sprung out of this just last year, and sorry, I didn't mean to make an early pitch, but we've got this 10-day challenge. It teaches attorneys how to record the video, what equipment they need, how to shoot any video in 15 minutes or under, and how to script in under 5 minutes or less. And we use that with kind of a templated approach that's standard, where then you can just switch out the content. You get a recipe. And so then when you have predictability and you don't get in front of a camera, you're like, what do I say? When you have a quick created script and you know the ideas of what you want, you've got the location, whether it's your shoot room or just a camera set up in your conference room or your lobby or your house or your car, then all of a sudden you got the guts to get up there and do it. And then just not being afraid to fail, because attorneys are real scared about that.
I think you also have to realize that not all of them are going to be great. And that's okay. It's okay to throw one in the can, and say, we're not going to do that one. I disagree that the polished ones are not all salesy, because I think that there is a thing, but I do believe you're absolutely right about there's definitely more of a ability to connect and get that personal thing. And I also love when I also love when the firms and the attorneys we work with start getting really involved with community things. Adopting a pet every month at a humane society. Get involved in your schools and donate water bottles, to the concession stands, and
But do it on video.
yeah, you don't
For
have
sure.
you don't have to do everything on video, but I think that, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of ways, because there are some people who are going to be at their kids' basketball game and they're holding on to a water bottle they bought in the concession stand and it has your name on it or your logo. It doesn't have to be salesy, but I think being involved in the community, sponsor a 5K, and make sure that you're really connecting the dots with social media and all the other places so people know that, and eventually you just you become the attorney of choice or the community leader in that space, and you might find that you get some leverage there too.
I got to put my moderator hat back on. I'm sorry for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Matthew asked a great question. Is it okay to use batching for evergreen content creation, or should 100% of content efforts be topical?
No, I mean, batching, first of all, is great. I mean, that's a whole nother topic about, just organization skills.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the batching. I'm doing some today, if I'm being honest. So, and evergreen it's great to have topical content, right? So that you look like an authority or an expert in whatever's going on. But let's be honest, a lot of times, a lot of these areas of law move at a glacial pace. They don't have like shocking news going on. Sometimes the trademark stuff, something will come along with, that's innovative or new, 3D printing with My Little Pony or something is happening. And so that's important, I think, to get your voice out there quickly so that it looks like you know what's going on in your practice area. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of these, really, how often do the family law statutes change in Arizona or whatever it is? So I think that having evergreen content is great and important also, because people yesterday and today and tomorrow are all going to need that content. So
I'd only say reuse it if you get a lot of eyes and a lot of positive feedback or comments or actions, depending on what you're called from it. And then you can regurgitate it every year. Things on your website are evergreen. And like one of the strategies that we use to kind of tie in with our clients is like with estate planning. I was talking to Sonia here about it, where it's dry, it's boring, right? No new family laws, right? In Arizona, or whatever it may be, maybe some statutes of child. But what about Harry and Meghan that are going to get a divorce? I have to tell you, you guys know John Morant. I am not a basketball fan anymore. I was when Larry Bird was playing Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan was still in the league. I'm old. I'm burnt out. That's why I watch only baseball, because I don't know if that's the old man sport, but I'm burnt. John Morant, superstar. Got a criminal defense attorney. You should go look him up. Dan Rosenberg in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, somewhere like that. So he was doing some videos. They're educational videos. He puts them on his newsletter. He drips them out in his intake system and case studies and all of these things. Then we sprinkle in what we call react videos. So his react video was the lawyer's reaction to the John Morant pop news. So within about 24 hours, he had about 2,500 views. Within about 48 hours, he had over 5,000. And people are like, well, I don't want phone calls from Washington State and Texas. I'm in New Jersey. Well, that's okay. Because then if you start looking at those other videos, they went from views of 150, which is actually really good if they're really good qualified potential leads, went from views of 150 to like 500. It raises the bar of all of your videos. So you sprinkle these things in there. That's why there's just content everywhere. Like you have to look down on the sidewalk to block the content out if you start thinking in this manner, because that's what people consume. That's really what they consume. They don't want to know about a gun law for concealed carry in New Jersey unless they're arrested. So what is that in New Jersey? Maybe a couple hundred people every day, maybe every week. I don't know. But they surely want to know about a lawyer's perspective on this. So when something else comes, they remember, hey, that lawyer that ate food everywhere, that ate Chicago beef, or that guy that's talking about Will Smith slapping somebody at the Oscars, right? They're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's like your plumber, your air conditioning guy. And in Arizona, right, we have to have them. It's probably 112 right now, and it's 9:30 in the morning. What they do is they take their business cards on like one of your vents and they drill it in, a business card, into your, why? I don't remember who I paid $15,000 for one of my 2 air conditioners. I don't know. But guess what? If it goes down, now he's on my radar that way. Same idea with content. And it all just doesn't have to be video, but that's what everybody's consuming right now. But it's just getting in front of them, entertaining, education. And guess what? You can be a boring ass attorney. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, the wealthier clients probably want that boring attorney. That's where you leave it up to your editors to make you entertaining.
Sonia said that she's scared to put herself out there. It can be scary. Her favorite and only staff is her cats. And that maybe she should have the cats show up on the videos. And I got to tell you, Sonia, my in-laws came to stay with me for, I want to say like 4 or 5 days. I cannot tell you the amount of cat videos that they put on my television and just show me cats and people doing silly things with their cats. And this cat's name is this. Does he fit in the box? No, he don't fit in the box. But does the other cat fit in the box? No, he's also too fat. He doesn't fit in the box. And it turns out none of the cats fit in the box because everybody's cats are fat, including my own. For anyone joining us late, we are currently hosting a discussion called Legal Marketing Agency Heads Weigh In on Recent Industry Trends. I'm joined by Annette Choti, Gyi Tsakalakis, Nancy O'Hare-Zika, and Philip Fairley. I'm very proud of my pronunciation of your last name just now, Gyi. I'm not going to lie to you.
Very well done,
excellent job.
I appreciate
Really
it.
good.
I want to ask you guys, and this came up a lot yesterday, but this is, to me, I think, much more, I'll say like digestible for attorneys today, because we're at like this wait and see sort of jumping off point as it pertains to ChatGPT, which is what I'm going to ask you guys about. It's hard. I think we're all in agreement right now that it's not yet ready for prime time, but I do think we can all agree that it is ready for marketing. So can you guys, in your expertise and sort of like your actual experience, because I'm sure you're using it, what role do you see ChatGPT playing in this legal marketing space right now and in the future?
For us here at Gavel, we use it as a starting point. We use it as an idea creator, but I'm not ready to, and so my standard is none of the Gavel team are allowed to just depend on that. We can use it as a starting point. We can use it as an idea center, but that's the extent of where we're using it right now.
Yeah, pretty much the same boat. It's amazing for doing content ideation. It's amazing for things like if you give it a seed and you want permutations, say you want to get 1,000 different versions of a PPC ad, amazing for that. But as Nancy mentioned, you got to review it, everybody's like on this like ChatGPT AI thing. If a human being writes something for you, you should review it. I don't care if it's a
Yes.
freelancer or someone at your firm. If you're slapping your name on it, you should look at it. You're a lawyer. You don't like the liability, the reputational damage that it can do. So nothing on autopilot, but really remarkable for auditing content, really remarkable for content ideation, really remarkable for like, if you're kind of getting writer's block on something or you're stuck and you're like, even for things like, you've got like, you want to write an email and you're like, I don't know how to say this kind of thing. And again, not like legalese. I'm just talking about, you just need some ideas for some language and then you go and you edit it, but it's great for seed content.
Caption creation on social media as well as a starting point. Sometimes it just is really difficult. And if you're doing social media management for 50 firms, it kind of feels a little bit like the life gets sucked out of you a little bit. So it gives you a little bit of a fire starter.
So I'll say 2 things to this. First of all, none of this is new, right? Like, I mean, Jarvis AI and all of that existed years ago. So everybody is freaking out about ChatGPT, but that's just because everybody knows about it now.
Yeah.
We all probably knew about all of this stuff a very long time ago and could have used these content writing. Now they're better now. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is everyone focuses on ChatGPT, but there's SEO.ai, there's Content at Scale, there's all of these other companies out there that can produce like 3,000-4,000 pieces of content that include keywords now and everything else. So I've reviewed a lot of them because content is kind of my shtick. And I will say the same thing. They are great at coming up with maybe frankly some H2s that I hadn't thought about before. But they are not. It is not at the level that I would just hit send. I would never do that. It's just not ready for prime time. But there are a lot of platforms that are better than ChatGPT. I feel like ChatGPT always gives me a list of like it can't do anything without giving me a list of 7 things. Like it can't just write paragraphs and paragraphs of information. So I'm not. I was concerned, frankly, but I'm not now because even with the tools that some of them cost like $1,000 a month, I'm still not seeing the level at which it's something that is really going to grab the attention of somebody over something else. That's just my opinion.
Agreed.
I think AI, ChatGPT and AI, for what we're talking about, has an inherent flaw. And there's one, and it will never overcome that. And that's the source of truth, the way that it's set up right now. Because you heard about that attorney that had it try and write its legal documents and referenced cases that were just not even real. And guess what? People put out things on the internet that's not real all the time. And now they're getting sued because they're using content, just like Answer the Public with Google has been doing for 5 years, stealing copyrights, right? So one of the things that, and all those things are great. I expected everyone, and it's nothing new with us because like we've been dealing with this. We were all a little nervous and then we understood what it came out to be. It's great to do titles, to do tags. It's great if you're a developer. It can write code for you. It's great for subject lines. It's great for getting you an outline. But it will never overcome the inherent problems outside of the marketing is that it's looking for the source of truth. So here's what we've been doing, Nick. We're working with this company out of Washington. Actually, I don't know why they just moved to San Francisco. I have no idea why, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But they used to run the Facebook predictive AI, like, right, here's some suggestions as you were searching on social media. So one of the things that they've done that I think is going to be a really good use case for attorneys is taking the AI, an instance, and bringing it within the technology systems of the firm. And what I say with that is, for instance, there's an issue like this one particular law firm, criminal defense. They do a lot of temporary restraining order responses. Those are 6 to 8 hours it takes them. You've got to get an attorney that nobody wants to do them. They're very lucrative and they need them. And they have literally like a day, maybe 2 days to create these, right? So, and it's always kind of on the, under the gun. They come in, I need this, right, get it. Very lucrative. We just want more, but sometimes we turn them away. So what we're doing with this company is for very low cost, this is under $700 a month, putting in an AI instance in their firm that looks at all of their previous responses as their source of truth. Just like what Westlaw or Lex, I was on the debate team in college in the late 90s. We go to the law library all the time and we would live on LexisNexis. We would live on just finding old case law, just try to for the debate. Same idea with this. I think when you can turn AI, and you're going to see this work on operations in law firms pretty quickly, because here in Arizona, as you guys know, we're the only state that non-attorneys can own law firms. But guess what? Last time I checked, I was somebody that's really plugged in California. It's about 72 applications in the state of California for this. Yet California hasn't even sniffed about doing this. And all of them are venture capitalists and venture funds and angel investors. Why? There's going to be a lot of money. You're going to then see them revolutionize the way that you can operate and produce legal work and get better results quicker. And you're going to drive it down like Jackson Hewitt in the front of Walmart type scenario. So what are you going to do that's different? you have to be personalized. But ChatGPT, putting it in your firm to make your day-to-day paralegal, your operational work, that's going to be money in the bank. But it is not ready yet, but it is getting there rapidly.
Yeah, Gyi, do you want to talk about?
I'll just jump in with one more quick story about why I'm not nervous about ChatGPT. So, and Nancy, I think this is up your alley as well, because you are branding. This is who you are. And, the Harmon brothers, their whole poop to gold, right? So no one would have ever thought, there's no way AI would have ever come up with the marketing, the cleverness of the Harmon brothers, because that is no one would have thought of that unicorn with the rainbow, right? Like no one would have thought of it. And I actually wrote because I was on, not to name drop here, because I'm sure you all know him, but Jack Newton from Clio and I were visiting, and he and I were talking about this subject and about the Harmon brothers. And I said to him, I was talking about poop to gold, and I said, well, now I'm a little embarrassed that I've said that in front of you, Jack Newton from Clio. But now he'll remember me, right? Because he'll remember that conversation, because who would have ever thought that would be inserted? And when you have clever marketing, when you have creative marketing, when you have unexpected marketing, that is memorable. And there is no way that AI would ever come up with that unicorn, right? With the rainbow, it just wouldn't. And so I think that, they're not our robot overlords quite yet.
No.
So.
I want to throw a curveball in here and go with the complete opposite, and ask you guys, because I think this isn't going away, and this is kind of where we're getting to in this conversation. But what are your top offline marketing tips for law firms?
Local community. I mean,
Yep.
As a blanket statement, get out in the community. I mean, and Nancy said this at the start, and I think Annette alluded to it too, but all law firms are different. But if you serve a local client base, so you're serving your local community, I don't care if you're a personal injury lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, bankruptcy lawyer, be active locally. So network events, being active in the local schools, getting to know the local journalists, getting to know local blogger community. I dropped the link to the Nextdoor app. If Nextdoor is big where you live, be active on Nextdoor. And again, we say marketing, but it's not marketing. It's just build more relationships, like get to know people. I mean, so much of it is, in the marketing people, we like to say things like brand awareness and brand affinity. You know what that means? People have to know you, right? Lawyers know, like, and trust, right? We know, like, and trust is the same thing. We just call it fancy stuff. But nobody's going to hire you if they don't know who you are. And then ideally, they're going to actually like you. So if they're in the same youth sport league that you're in, or whatever your passion, goes back to that thing, that whatever you're passionate about, go be active there, and people will gravitate to you. And then the rest of it is like, are you a competent lawyer, right? Are you doing good by your clients? Because that's going to be the trust part. But I don't know. For me, it's. And I think Philip said this earlier, but so much of this stuff is full circle. It's all the stuff we've been doing for hundreds of years, but now we have a bunch of different places we can go and publish about it and talk about it.
Yeah.
And you can actually tell people that you like what they're doing without leaving your home. But it's all the same thing as it's been forever: relationships and reputation.
And do it with, and I believe you have to do it with a genuine heart. People will pick up on that so fast if you're just doing it for sales purposes. If you have a passion for the Humane Society, if you have a passion for Habitat for Humanity, then it's okay to have that be part of it. But don't fake that shit, because people are going to pick right up on that. And I also think that another program that I think is a really cool offline thing, and this is more for really just name recognition. I have a couple firms that have partnered with local realtors to put together a welcome to the community packet with some resources, maybe a couple passes to a theater for a night out, just to get that out there. You have 100 of these. I have one actually sitting right here. It's like a little folder, right? Has all this stuff in it. And then what happens is they give them 100 of them, and every closing they put together. Apparently closing baskets are a thing. I'm here to tell you, I've purchased like 7 homes in my life. I've never freaking gotten one. But anyways, I'm not angry about it. Whatever. Apparently, there's some states and some cities where this is a thing, and they put together these welcome or congratulation closing baskets. That's a really easy, super simple thing. Pretty much, I would think that most people in the legal profession have a couple friends in the real estate world they might want to join forces with and do that. It's really great co-branding.
I never got a closing basket, but when I bought my house, I got 2 things. The
mortgage?
The mortgage, yeah, I got that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got that.
Yeah.
The loan officer made me, I don't know how, but he was smart. He has a friend that makes like your name, your last name, and then like established the year and then the sign.
Like a metal sign?
Yeah, so he
Those
has
are cool.
hand-carved worker home, established.
I love that.
And I still have it, and it's on my mantle. And as much as I didn't like this guy because he annoyed me, I still sent him business. And it's just because he did a good job. I just don't like the guy. He was so annoying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's
and
okay.
the other thing is my realtor sent me steaks.
Omaha steaks.
It came in the mail in the freezer, and I love ideas like that. Like here, the owner of my company sponsored my local underhand men's slow pitch softball. I know that's so tough, right? Like I play such a great athletic pastime. But yeah, slow pitch softball. It says Answering Legal on the back of the uniform. People ask me, what's Answering Legal all the time. I love ideas like that. I'm sorry.
Well, I love each one of your ideas, and I want to chime in really quick because Gyi had some great, Nancy and Annette. I love every single one of them, right? We've been talking about these same things for the last 20 years or however long you've been in this space. I've got a modern twist on it that actually works. And feel free to steal it. Feel free to preach it because I'm an evangelist about this. Referrals make up, I don't care if you've got 1 attorney or 20 partners and 40 associates that go along with it. Referrals make up a big part of business. It should never be more than 30, 20, 30%, but that's a big part of your business. So instead of trying to create these referral partners in these community events and just go out and put it on a t-shirt, that's all nice, right? That's good. What we're teaching our clients to do, and they're getting unbelievable results. So that real estate agent or that little league team or the Humane Society, actually, there's a famous attorney that's out there that does his own live shows that we talked to him about. He's always on there about adopting pets. And he does this on video. So take that Humane Society, or let me get a little bit more practical. Go find the attorney across the town or the therapist if you're in family law or whatever that kind of synchronizes with your practice area. And instead of trying to put a t-shirt on the little league team or something, what you want to do is you want to interview the coach and the players on video. And you ask them a couple questions. And then you push that out through all of your channels and they do the same. Same with other referral partners that you used to be like, hey, we used to sell a referral partnership like forced marriage, where we would actually have people, and this was about 12 years ago, we'd have people call in the community and just reach out and try to set up lunches or coffees, right? And let's just do blind speed dating. Well, we don't offer that anymore, so it wasn't that successful. So what you do in that scenario is, instead of saying going out to lunch, I want to interview you, and I'm going to push this out to every channel I have. I've got this many on my list. I got this many on my subscribe. I've got this. I'm going to put a blog on my video on here, and then you interview them. And you're just like, hey, I want to put you on camera. I'm going to highlight your business, your organization. I'm going to be an advocate for that. And of course, you got a little branding before and a little branding after on the videos, and then you give it to them. And then all of a sudden, your name is given so much goodwill, and they spread it to their entire list. And you're spreading it to your entire, so the human interest type story. So although that's not really offline, it's a better way of doing referral partnerships with attorneys, with professionals, with non-professionals, and especially if you're passionate about animals or whatever it may be in your local community.
So Gyi wrote in the chat, support local businesses, local sponsorships, community events, concerts, charities, nonprofits, clubs. And then he wrote, find the local social media groups. And my friends all make fun of me. They say that there's this really bad social media group locally to me One of the big like townships is called Smithtown, and he says I'm in Smithtown Moms. I'm not in Smithtown Moms. I am in my community's local. I live in a town called Rocky Point. I'm in Rocky Point Neighbors, and I find out so much of what's going on in my town and who's doing the best work in Rocky Point Neighbors, not Smithtown Moms. Mike, thank you very much. Stop making fun of me. But I got the guy who fixes my air conditioning, the HVAC guy from Rocky Point Neighbors. I got the guy who services my chimneys so that I have one of those inserts. It came with my house. Wood burning stove. There you go. It heats up the living room all nice. My wife loves it. He came. I got him off Rocky Point Neighbors. I got my plumber. I like to use local people, and people like to use local people. And Annette said it before. When I go to a law firm, like say a lawyer contacts me, wants to use the service, and he needs help with an integration, this, that. I like to know what people look like and what I'm getting into. I go to every person's website. I hit the about page, and if you don't have a picture of yourself, but like people want to do business with people. And Annette, when you said that, I was like, I'm a bobblehead.
Yeah, one of the other things that Nick mentioned, I think is so important for lawyers to think about too, is to get outside of legal, because a lot of these other verticals are like doing much more creative stuff that you can apply yourself. And I think the other thing that I just want to kind of just stating the obvious here, but Nick mentioned it as well. Think about how you consume other professional services. So how do you go and find these things? You're probably, some of you, I'm sure it's dawning on you, like, oh yeah, I'm already in one of those groups. I never thought that this was a place for me to be active and like, hey, and again, it's just a matter of like showing up, being there and sharing your interests. I love the ideas about like interviewing other people in the community, supporting the local businesses, because again, you get that network effect because they go and share it with their group because they're part of it too. You make sure you're tagging people. There's the tactical and the logistical stuff that you should be doing. But getting in front, meeting new people, that's the amazing part about these social networks. You can get to know people from the comfort of your own home, in addition to being out in the community and doing these things. So really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Moderator hat. I'm sorry. I want you guys to answer this. I think this is a good question. So Matthew asks, isn't it hard for people to do business with lawyers who charge $500 an hour, even if those lawyers dress like regular people? What marketing benefits are there to offering transparent pricing, a la flat fees and subscription? Now I see what it is. What marketing benefits are there to offering transparent pricing like flat fees and subscriptions? I read that so strangely.
I think it depends again, and I feel like we've said this a million times, so I apologize, but it kind of depends on your area of law. Every area is going to be a little bit different. I think that there's people who are going to be tire kickers there, and that's going to benefit. There's going to be ones that aren't. I think it's kind of a little bit of a shot in the dark.
Yeah, and my trying to kind of parse this question. I do think that one of the things that lawyers as a profession have been struggling with, and we haven't quite solved it yet, but is getting off the idea of the hourly billing, because you commoditize yourself when you're hourly. Like if you're saying that you're $500 an hour and you're doing the same thing everybody else is, you're a commodity. There is no positioning. There is no extra value. None of these things are going to matter. And so lawyers, unfortunately, have been trained to commoditize themselves instead of being like, look, let's talk about the value. What is the value for me to finalize this divorce for you? What is the value for me to get you into your new home in the next 30 days? What is the value of me to, make sure that you have attendant care for the rest of your life because you've got a family member who's got these severe injuries? And PI is a little different because they mostly work on contingency. But the point is that what's the opposite? Look, you can get out there and like at the last minute bait and switch someone and be like, oh, by the way, it's $500. Guess what? You just spend a lot of money and time nurturing a lead that had no intention of paying you $500 an hour in the first place. You might as well get that out there in the first place.
I couldn't agree more. So I feel like that's a good place to stop. If anybody here, if our campers want to continue following your work and connect with your company further, where do you recommend they go? I'm going in my eye line because I'm egocentric. So Philip, where should we go?
Well, we've got something great that's coming up. A lot of you guys have probably heard about our Rainmaker retreats. We've been running them for a long, long time. We've got a new one coming up in August in Vegas. I think that's the best way to learn how to shoot those videos, script them, learn what you should be doing offline, learn strategies like interviewing on video to get referral partners, things like this. And you can find that at rainmakerretreat.com. We've got a special going on right now, really inexpensive. Get out of your office, learn how to be a business owner and stop being an attorney.
Nancy, you're up. I'm sorry.
Awesome. If anyone would like to chat and learn more about Gavel, they could visit callgavel.com. And I guess the one thing I would urge people, you don't have to, you have 5 people sitting here who are here to help you, and ask the questions. It doesn't cost anything to pick up a phone and ask a question, have a meeting with people. And, there's people here that do this every single day. And I'm surrounded by 25 here at Gavel that this is what we do every day. And we're here to help. And that's a genuine offer. So, but yeah, callgavel.com is the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you.
You can go to AttorneySync.com, AttorneySync.com, but I would encourage you, if you're not really ready to engage with an agency and you just want to kind of see what's going on. I also co-host a podcast called Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I'll drop that in the chat. But like Nancy said, ask the questions. And we love taking listener feedback and answering questions right on the podcast. I think it's some of the most valuable stuff that we do. Ask a lot of questions. That's the best way to learn this stuff and to hold people like us accountable too. So
For sure.
Thanks for joining us.
Gyi's podcast is really good.
Thanks,
Just
Nick.
in case you were wondering. I listen, so. Last but not least, Annette.
Well, you can go to lawquill.com. That's my website. I wrote a book called Click Magnet, The Ultimate Digital Marketing Guide to Law Firms. You can find that on Amazon. I have a podcast too. I'm not as cool as Gyi. He's the best.
You always
You're
say
super cool. I don't have a book.
But mine is called Legal Marketing Lounge. That's my podcast. And but yeah, Gyi's podcast is fantastic, honestly. It's a pleasure listening to it. And I actually have, I think 170 articles on my website for free. So if you have a specific question, like Nancy was saying, if you have a specific question, the chances are I've probably addressed it or something similar to it. And if I haven't addressed it, then obviously, you can reach out to me or any one of my esteemed colleagues.
Well, that is all the time we have for this discussion today. I would like to thank Annette Choti, Gyi Tsakalakis, Nancy O'Hare-Zika, and Philip Fairley again for joining me today.